We're going live on our platforms now. Should be live. Let me get the Facebook page going. Anyone like to share any wins or aha moments that they've experienced? Given value for you guys on Tuesdays. What is it that you really want? What are you doing to acquire the things that you desire? We'll also get started on our lesson for the month. We've been going over self-confidence and understanding the mechanisms behind self-confidence. And there is truly an inner practice, an inner work in each and every one of us. And it's very important to be aware of the inner work, the inner practice that we are doing. Everything we see is mental work. Everything we do is coming from an idea. And we're practicing our ideas and we are simulating them as we move into physical reality. And the key to living the life that you desire, a successful life that you enjoy living, you want to live, a more fulfilled life, is one with vision and action, one with vision, action, demonstration. And we should look at our results as a scientist would, so that we can better understand the way we're moving and if we're in alignment with the things that we desire. When I was looking at quantum mechanics and physics and reality as it's shaping itself, it's taking its orchestration, it's taking its unfoldment from the quantum field of engineering, the vacuum space of time. And that vacuum space is where we're coming together with information. And as we move and we entangle with that information, we're moving down to a bilocal to a local state. Consciousness, the wave, bilocal awareness. And then we are in our analytical mind, and we are conceiving things. Here we go into the behavior results of the mathematical equations about the behavior of electrons as a result of the mathematical equations which are now followed by the workday physicists all over the world. Bohr and Heisenberg noted that according to experiment, an electron is not a precise entity, but exists as a potential superposition or sum of all possibilities until we observe or measure it, at which point the sum of all probabilities until we observe or measure it, at which point the electrons freezes into a particular state. Once we are through looking or measuring the electrons, dissolves back into the ether of all possibilities. Part of this interpretation is a notion of complementarity, that you can never know everything about a quantum entity, such as an electron. At the same time, the classic example is position and velocity. If you discover information about one aspect of it, where it is, for instance, you cannot also determine exactly where it's going or at what speed. What are we looking at in comparison? So here we're going through the evaluation of electrons and how they're manifesting themselves through reality. And they're really basing their viewpoint among the way we are articulating our thoughts. Nothing can bring you peace but yourself. Nothing can bring you reality but you and the field that you're working with. I can take this in a manner and build it as the day I decided to start my first company, the day I made that decision, things started to change. Before I made the decision, things were not changing. I was still within path of the same reality, in the same movement, the same direction. But the minute I made a decision, that decision affected reality. It affected the field, the quantum field of entanglement. It affected where I was going. It affected the people I was going to interact with. It affected the clients that I would have. It affected matter. But before I make a decision, before you make a decision, you're really affecting the non-decision. The non-decision is a decision. The decision not to take action, the decision to stay where you're at, the decision to not commit to yourself, that's still a decision. So what we don't understand is that decisions you don't make are still decisions. You're still moving somewhere. At the quantum space at the vacuum state, you are still making decisions. And it is observing your thoughts. It is becoming aware of where you're going, what you're doing, before you even speak. Before you speak, I hear you. Before you speak, I am organizing you to think and speak. And this is the way it works. This is the way the quantum field works. This is the way you work. This is the way consciousness is working. Before you speak, I hear you because I organize you to think and speak and then move. So where's your free will? If I organize you to think and I organize you to speak and then I organize you to move, where is your free will? And here we have Emerson saying, nothing can bring you peace but yourself. Any thoughts, takeaways? Questions? You might well remember that nothing can bring you success but yourself. Of course, you will need the cooperation of others if you aim to attain success of a far-reaching nature. But you will never get the cooperation unless you vitalize your mind with the positive attitude of self-confidence. Perhaps you have wondered why a few men advance to highly paid positions while others all around them who have as much training, who similarly perform as the same work, do not get ahead. Select any two people of these two types that you choose to study them. And the reason that one advances and the other stands still will be quite obvious to you. You will find that the one who advances believes in himself. You will find that he backs this belief with such dynamic, aggressive action that he lets others know that he believes in himself. You will also notice that this self-confidence is contagious. It is impelling. It is persuasive. It attracts others. You will also find that the one who does not advance shows clearly by the look in his face, by the posture of his body, by the lack of briskness in his step, by the uncertainty with which he speaks, that he lacks self confidence. No one is going to pay you much attention to, no one will pay much attention to the person who has no self confidence in himself. He does not attract others because his mind is negative and it repels rather than attracts. In no other field of endeavor does self confidence or the lack of it play such an important part in the field of salesmanship. And you do not need to be a character analyst to determine the moment you meet him, whether a salesperson contains self confidence or not. If he has it, the signs of its influence are written all over him. He inspires you with confidence in him and in the goods he's selling the moment he speaks. We come now to the point which you are ready to take hold of the principle of autosuggestion and make direct use of it in developing yourself into a positive and dynamic and self-reliant person. You're instructed to copy the following formula and commit it to memory. And here we're going into the self-confidence formula. And again, it's through repetition that you change yourself. Let's look at auto suggestion and when it's being used incorrectly. How many times are you telling yourself to go and do what you don't want to do? How often are you telling yourself to get up and express the same behavior? And you say, well, I don't have to tell myself that. Well, who's telling you to get up? What's telling you to get up? Who tells you or what tells you to make the bed or not make the bed? Who or what is telling you to get up at the time that you get up? It's so important because a lot of people really don't think about this, know about this, willing to understand it, and understand themselves. And they let life just pass them by. They're not aware of what is actually engineering them, causes them to act and behave as they behave. What has is telling you or has told you in the past to earn money the way you're earning it, to go into the job that you're doing, to go into the service industry that you have gone into? What and who has chosen for you? And you're going to say, I have chosen. The truth, you didn't choose that. You're programmed to go and do that. So when we look at the rationality of an individual and all the different choices he could make according to their programs and beliefs and the way they think, you may have 1,000 different ways you may move in your lifetime according to those belief systems. When the truth is, there's millions and billions of different moves that you can make, but you're not making them. Why? Could it be true that someone could be regulated at only 2 different moves, 3 different moves? Stay in a position their whole life? Is that really truth? The truth can only be found in the beholder. Go ask them. Go ask yourself. How many moves do you have? How many moves have you taken? What are you experiencing? How many opportunities have you taken advantage of, not taken advantage of? How long have you been in the same position doing the same thing? How many moves can a person have? When you really start to think about what I'm saying and you really start observing your own moves. How often do you still make the same move? Who and what is telling you to take the action that you're taking every day? What group thoughts are you using that is causing you to project yourself into the physical world in that manner? The brain is just processing that information. The brain does not think. You think through the brain. And then you've got to ask yourself, if the brain does not think, I think through the brain, then all the concepts and ideas that I use, do they really serve me? And how has that auto suggestion filled my life, created my reality? If you don't have access to this information, you don't have access to understanding how to swivel, how to change your awareness, how to shift, how to make a shift, a quantum shift. If you don't understand the movement that you must be able to make within yourself to develop a higher awareness, to tune into more information, to tune into the ideas that would change your life completely. If you don't know how to do this, you will always find your focal angle at the local state of being. And you will always find yourself apart with the things you don't want and way apart from the lifestyle that you truly desire. Why is it that things that you really desire, you're always apart from it? Why is it that you see opportunities happening around you or happening to other people, but never to you? You must become aware of the broad streaming station. If you can hear it, it's not you. You must become aware of the broadcasting station that is auto suggesting your life. And if you don't become aware of that broadcasting station that's telling you what to do, and the chattering mind, as you see it, keeps influencing you and your behavior, you will always find your desires, your life, far away from you, far away from reach, because you're letting your analytical awareness, you're letting your ideas, you're letting the framework that has created your reality continue to work through your awareness. You're allowing somebody else's ideas to continue to work through your brain, and you're not stopping the thought. Each and every one of us has a broadcasting streaming station in the brain through our body. And when you don't control that, when you don't stop the thought, you literally let that auto populate and auto suggest your life. Why is this important? Because you're giving your life for that broadcasting, that stream of ideas, and it is controlling your behavior. If you can hear it, it's not you. You're going to say, wait a minute, but that is me. That's what, no, it's not. Every brain has a broadcasting, streaming ability, and you're literally broadcasting and streaming information. That's not you. It's the information you moved into. And that's why when you think and you're thinking of ideas, you're listening to ideas because you're streaming that frequency. And so many people don't know that they have their own frequency. And they don't know that the frequency that they have ascribed to, the frequency that's been prescribed to them, was organized the moment of conception. And they started to organize that information. And as they moved out into the world, they started to organize all the information in the environment, and that became their broadcasting station. And if they don't change those ideas, if they don't get off of that frequency, that becomes the autopilot, the auto suggestion, and the automatic nervous system that keeps telling you what to do. Did you know you have your own station? It was built right into you, and you took part of most of it as well, unconsciously. So, were you to take a radio station and you can zip through radio stations and you can get on different frequencies and you can listen to what they're saying, but how often do you go and do what they say? You can jump on another frequency. You can go jump in front of another person and go listen to them. Just, maybe some of you jumping on this frequency and you're listening to me. But how often will you go and take what I say and go and do it? You're not changing your frequency. You're not changing your radio. You're not upgrading. You're not evaluating your ideas, your thoughts that are live streaming through your brain. And you're staying stuck in the auto suggestion of the chattering mind of the station that you programmed, that was programmed for you. So everyone has their own station. That station is a product, the environment they moved into, the DNA they moved into. And that started to organize itself and think. That started to organize to think and imagine. That started it to think, imagine, and then act. So now when you go back for ideas, now when you go and listen to yourself, now when you look in the mirror and you're judging yourself, now when you look at others and you're judging them, that broadcasting station that has been developed is auto suggesting through you. It's a frequency, and you're streaming on it, streaming with it. So here, Hill is talking about auto suggesting a new idea. Why is he saying to auto suggest a new idea? Because it's through repetition that you configure and propel images about yourself from yourself to yourself. And you make more or less like a groove. And once you're used to operating with that groove, you continue to move along the same patterns of recognition, patterns of understanding. And before you know it, you may have gone months. The chances are you've gone years, and you don't know who you are. And you don't know why you're experiencing what you're experiencing. Any thoughts, takeaways?
Would you say that auto-suggestion is also a manner in which to, um, I don't know, break the old patterning, the thinking, the old patterns, the thinking. So you're introducing this new pattern to actually break the old one, or are you just thinking it's starting a new groove completely?
Well, it just depends on how far you want to go off what you know. How far beyond do you want to go beyond what you keep suggesting to yourself? So auto suggestion could be maybe a couple words here and there, maybe change your results a little bit, or it could be a completely different suggestion that would alter the current way of thinking. But yes, auto suggestion is definitely a way to move from the old train of thinking, the old way of moving your ideas and thoughts. Otherwise, when you don't auto suggests, you don't intervene within yourself, then what is controlling your behavior? What's telling you what to do next?
Yeah, sure.
Who's going to move in the next couple of hours? Who is that?
Hmm.
Really analyze, who is that?
Yeah, well, it depends how you're coupled. Depends on your auto suggestion. If you're even auto suggesting yourself. So it's either the data or it's you.
And that's the problem. Majority of people don't know who they are.
Yes. Most people don't aren't aware that there's even a choice.
So they're on autopilot.
So they're on autopilot.
Yeah.
100, yeah.
Self-confidence formula. First, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, aggressive, and continuous action toward its attainment. Second, I realize the dominating thoughts of my mind eventually reproduce themselves in outward bodily action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my mind for 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to be, creating a mental picture of this person, and then transforming that picture into reality through practical service. Third, I know that through the principle of autosuggestion, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of realizing it. Therefore, I shall devote 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of the factors named in the 15 lessons of this reading course, The Laws of Success. So if you look at every one of these suggestions, it's going back to demanding a continued forward movement, dominating a thought, reproducing an action, transforming physical reality. Fourth, I missed third. I know that through the principle of autosuggestion, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of realizing it. Therefore, I shall devote 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of the factor of these 15 lessons. So I did read that earlier. So he's talking about going back to the 15 lessons and then going back and learning how to apply them. Now, if you're not really repeating this, you're really not going to go back to the 15 lessons. You're not really going to go and check what it really means to apply them, and you're going to keep doing what you know. So then what is that thing inside of you that is resisting being changed? What is the thing that's inside of you that's resisting picking up a book? What is the thing inside of you that resists taking the actions? Oh, I don't want to read. It's not you that doesn't want to read.
It's your data.
It's the data. I don't want to make the phone call. No, it's not you that doesn't want to make the phone call. It's the data that doesn't want to make the phone call. I don't want to get up in the morning and study. It's not you that doesn't want to get up and study. What is it? It's the data. I don't feel like setting up the meeting. I don't want to set up a meeting. It's not you that doesn't want to set up the meeting. It's the data. So many people think that they've been thinking, and they've become so lost in their own awareness. They don't know who's thinking. I don't have time. It's not you that doesn't have the time. It's the data, because your data moved you into time. to go express your own behavior. It's the data. I don't have the money. It's not you that doesn't have the money. It's the data. The data told you what to do, so you don't have money. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. It's not you, because the true you is perfect. Your spiritual DNA is perfect. The data's talking through you. It told you what to do, go and do. So you don't have time and you don't have money. Clearly understand that you're God's greatest gift. You're a spiritual being, but you moved into data. And if you cannot separate the two, you think that you're the data. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I don't have the abilities. That's not you that's speaking. It's the data. You went into that information. You use that information. You've been experiencing that information. And everything that we always experience is not the results. We're experiencing the data's results. And you thought they were you. That's why everything's perfect. And that's why everything is perfectly balanced. Your spirit enters data. It gives life to the data. You experience the data. Your spirit moves into information. It gives life to that information, and then in your outer world, you experience the result of that information. That's what I was saying at the beginning of this. You've got to be more aware that you're not the information. You use information. You apply information. Let's look at the child. The child was pure, empty. Empty. It started at zero. It started at zero when it entered the mother's womb. And then it started to configure information, her information, her data, your father's data. And as you organize in that, you're organizing that, and that begins to think. So when people say, I don't have the time and I don't have the money, it's not them. The information they use was not supposed to have the time and was not supposed to have the money. When you say, I'm not living the way I want to live, that's not you. And that's the problem. Because you think that your information, your ideas are you. They are you temporarily as long as you continually use them. You're giving life to them as you use them. You give life, you move into an idea, and the idea moves into you. You give life to information, the information gives life to you. The production outside of yourself is always in equal proportion to what you were thinking. So you did that. But you could also do something entirely new. You could be somebody entirely different. The question is, are you willing to do the work? Thoughts, takeaways so far?
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I would say, Abraham, my takeaway is the self-confidence and auto-suggestion of this self-confidence is crucial, is I would say, one of the keys for us to achieve the life that we want to. Because as we know that our mind is always perpetuating the energy of thoughts, if we don't center our thought auto suggesting something positive in purpose, in direction, the thing that we want to achieve in life, our own program that we have and data will take over and will change our own vibration. And this is the key for you to experience your own life, to do whatever you want to do and experience on your day and your life. So the self-confidence is very, very important for you to express yourself, and whatever uh, goal you have to be confident, and the energy has to pass for the other people that will be in contact with you, and you have to do it, and you have to auto suggest this self-confidence. You have to work on yourself to have this self-confidence. This is the work, and this is a work that has to be done. And we are uh, grateful to have these tools that we've been having here in this class, because it's changed everything, because it's bring us our own power again, understanding that we have choice, we have our own choice, being a spirit, being the energy that is perfect. When you come to life outside of your program, own program, you start to come from inspiration. You have your own power to express your own life and to live the life you want.
Very well said. Let's look at this law from the psychological side. The psychologists refer to this law as autosuggestion and let it go to that. But you should bear in mind one point about which there is no uncertainty, and that is the fact that whatever the law is, it actually works. Another point to be kept in mind is the fact that just as electricity will turn the wheels of an industry and serve mankind in a million other ways, just as electricity will turn the wheels of an industry and serve mankind in a million other ways, or snuff out life wrongly applied. It can snuff out life if it's wrongly applied. It can create an industrial industry to serve mankind in a million other ways. Electricity, autosuggestion. And it can also snuff out of life when wrongly applied. So will the principle of autosuggestion lead you up the mountainside of peace and prosperity, or down into the valley of misery and poverty. According to the application you make of it. Listen to this. According to the application you make of it, according to the application that you make of it. If you fill your mind with doubt and unbelief in your ability to achieve, then the principle of auto-suggestion takes this spirit of unbelief and sets it up in your subconscious mind as your dominating thought, and slowly but surely draws to you into the whirlpool of failure. But if you fill your mind, but if you fill your mind radiant with self-confidence, the principle of auto-suggestion takes this belief and sets up as your dominating thoughts and helps you master the obstacles that fall in your way until you reach the mountaintop of success. So here we find the same law that can bring failure, can bring success. And is being suggested by who? Every suggestion you have is being suggested by the data or a higher awareness about yourself from yourself to yourself. But you're the one moving into the data, and you're also the one that can move into a higher perception of yourself as well. You're the energy that gives life. You're the energy that gives life to data, to information. You're the one manifesting yourself outside of yourself. And so every time you see something you don't want, you can very well look at it and say, I did that. I did that because I keep moving into the same idea. I did that because I keep thinking about myself in the same manner. I did that because I haven't suggested another suggestion from myself to myself. I did that because I'm not in control of that chattering mind. I did that because I don't believe more in myself. I did that because that's my habit. The power of habit. Having myself experience all the difficulties that stand in the road of those who lack the understanding to make practical application of the great principle of autosuggestion. Let me take you a short way into the principle of habit, through the aid which you may easily apply the principle of autosuggestion in any direction and for any purpose whatsoever. Habit grows out of environment, out of doing the same thing or thinking the same thoughts or repeating the same words over and over again. Habit may be likened to the groove on a phonograph record, while the human mind may be likened to the needle that fits into the groove. When any habit has been well formed, when any habit has been well formed through repetition of thought or action, the mind has a tendency to attach itself to and follow the course of that habit as closely as a phonograph needle follows the groove in a wax record. Habit is created by repeatedly directing one or more of the five senses of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and feeling in a given direction. It is through this repetition principle that this injurious drug habit is formed. It is through this same principle that the desire for intoxicating negative biases, negative ideas is formed into a habit. After habit has been well established, it would automatically control and direct the body's activity. After habit has been well established, it will automatically control and direct our bodily activity, wherein may be found a thought that can be transformed into a powerful factor in the development of self-confidence. The thought is the voluntary and by force of necessary direct your efforts and your thoughts along a desired line until you have formed the habit that will lay hold to you and continue voluntarily to direct your efforts along the same lines. Voluntarily or by force, if necessary, direct your efforts and your thoughts along a desired line until you have formed the habit that will lay a hold of you, and continue voluntarily to direct your efforts along the same line. Habit grows out of environment. Habits grow out of the environment, out of doing the same thing or thinking the same thoughts or repeating the same words. Habit grows out of environment, out of doing the same thing, thinking the same thoughts, repeating the same words over and over again. Habit may be likened to the groove on a phonograph record, while the human mind may be likened to the needle. The human mind may be likened to the needle that fits into the groove, that groove. When any habits has been followed, they have been well formed through repetition of thought or action. The mind has a tendency to attach itself to and follow the course of that habit as closely as a phonograph needle follows a groove in the wax record. Habit is created by repeatedly directing one or more of the five senses in a given direction. So here we're going back to who am I? What am I? Who am I? What am I? Where am I? Who am I? What am I? Where am I? Who am I? What am I? Where am I? If you really want to find yourself, you will ask yourself, who am I? What have I been acting like? What have I been acting and behaving like? What belief and whose belief have taken me where I am? Whose belief am I acting like? What belief am I behaving like? Where am I currently because of this belief? Who am I? What am I? Where am I? Whose belief am I acting like? What belief am I behaving like? What belief am I using to create my reality? Where am I? Where am I currently because of this belief systems? Am I my name? Am I my past? And when will I be willing to change who I am, what I am, and where I am going? When will I be willing to change who I am, what I am, and where I am going? And here we enter this principle of autosuggestion. And if you cannot go there, you can look at what you wrote down and you can find where you're going. Look at the actions, and the actions will tell you the truth. Your actions will tell you who you think you are. They'll also tell you who you think you're not. Your actions will tell you what I am acting and behaving like, and what I am not acting and behaving like. Your actions will tell you where I am, and your actions will also tell you why I am not where I want to be. In your actions, you will see the images that you're using. In your actions, you will see the cause that's creating you to act and behave as you behave. Thoughts, takeaways.
Yeah, Abraham, for me, as just kind of going over belief system and auto-suggestion, and then just what you said here, the message that stands out to me is a phrase that we commonly use, which is actions speak louder than words. And that's really resonating hard with me right now.
Very good. Let's look at who I am and who I am not. If I think I'm my name, am I in my education? That means I am not something else. And everything that you think you're not makes you who I am. I remember Sandy coming out one day and she goes, "You're not who you think you are, you're who you think you're not." And it sounds like it's a play on words, but it's exact. You're not who you think you are, you're who you think you're not. I can't get up and speak. Okay, that will be done. I can't change my position, my job. Okay, that's the way. That's what will be done. Auto suggestion. Look at it. Auto suggestion. I cannot get a better job, and that will be done. I cannot learn something different, and this is why you're where you're at. This will be done. When you don't understand it, you don't see it. There's a belief system that's already talking through you. I'm too old, and that's why you'll stay where you're at, and that will be done. I don't have the education, and that's what will be done. I didn't go to school, and that's what will be done. It's very important you understand the psychology behind your belief and your behavior, because if you don't understand it, you're not who you think you are, you're who you think you're not. What I am and what I am not. Everything has its polarity. Where I am and where I am not. Everything has its opposite. And so many people miss it. Where you're going and where you will never go, what you will never experience. So huge. Who you'll become and who you'll never become. Because you're not understanding that what you see is the result of something that's unseen, that caused you to go experience what you're seeing. There's a belief system that's unseen about yourself, that you haven't recognized about yourself, but it's where it has led you exactly to where you're at today. I see that we're at our time. Thank you guys that are watching this. Rewind, watch it over again. And then how can you apply it? What belief systems can you really reevaluate about yourself that have already been grooved into a pattern that has you stuck? Then ask yourself, what belief must I have to acquire what I want? What belief must I have to acquire what I desire? Why is this important? Every time you say, I can't, or I don't know how, you must ask, stop, intervene in that auto suggestion that's going to move you out of it. Stop the thought. What belief must I have to acquire that? What belief must I have?
Abraham, if I may,
Yes.
it takes me back to this story about the official who heard that Jesus was around, and his daughter was dead, right? And he went up to him and he told him, and the response he got was, "Go and she will be made well," something along that line. So when he got back, everyone was, in different spirits. She was alive, and so on and so forth. When he asked the servant what time um, she was made well, it was at the very moment he got the word. So it now beckons me to think what his thought process was the moment he got the word, "Go and she will be made well." There had to be something in him that was convicted at that moment that yes, it is done, you know. So I don't know how it came just now. It came right down into my mind just now. I had to make a note of it. But yeah, just want to share.
Very good. Really ask yourself, when you get to those points, what belief must I change in me to experience what I want to experience? And you're always going to find that it was a lack of belief, and that's why you were experiencing what you were experiencing. You look at the result. What belief must I have to change that result? Look at what you're experiencing today. What belief must I have to experience a different result? And then if I had that belief, what would I be doing? This is the way you can readjust. Thank you guys. We're at our time. Many blessings. And have a wonderful day. We will continue